thank you very much for joining us today to our office hours. We kind of using this office hours to share some of the new functionality and features that we've just released with Exact Farms Plus. We just released that today. A bigger release is actually our Exact Farms Plus configurator. So we haven't had a release on that portion. It's really a utility that supports Exact Farms Plus. But Dylan on our team has been working diligently over the past few months to clean that up and add some new functionality to it that kind of correlates nicely with Exact Farms Plus. So we wanted to kind of go through that today. On the screen right now, you can see these are the enhancements from the release notes. Actually, Exact Farms Plus is version 12.2. So this release note says 12.1, but we did release a bunch of these with 12.1 and 12.2. We kind of did a silent release on some of these until we wanted to make sure the configurator was there to support it. So technically everybody's been running 12.1, but as of today we released 12.2, and the new configurator will be released right after this meeting as well, so you'll be able to take advantage of some of the things you're going to see in this meeting today. So some of the enhancements, we now allow for QR codes and barcodes to be implemented in subtables. We only did that in master table, so the parent data was the only section of the document where you could generate QR codes and barcodes. You can now do that for child data or subtable data. We're giving you a lot more control of cell padding or cell spacing. So when you want to condense the spacing a little bit more on your subtables, you can change the cell spacing to handle that. Or if you want to widen it, make things a little bit bigger, you can do that as well. We have a couple of rich text field improvements. So with the new rich text fields on the new UI, some of the ways they were handling colors and images were different than the old UI's control for rich text. So Exact Farms Plus will support both old forms and new forms. When data is coming into those rich text fields, doesn't matter which one it's coming in on, it'll come in and present properly in the output document. Mark Schneer actually had a nice request from me about handling hyperlinks on images in subtables, so I want to show you that. Thanks, Mark. We've implemented our query builder into our EFP subtable configurator. So I'm going to show that in detail, but that's a big enhancement. So it allows you to do a lot more when it comes to filtering your data for subtables. We had a new function called Ordinal numbers. I'll show you that. And there's a couple of bug fixes along the way as well. So I know some of you guys got frustrated with our configurator. We had a couple issues with it, and we finally got those put to bed. So we're happy that that's been implemented today. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in here and we'll get going. I'm going to open up the configurator itself just to show you some of the new things that are going on. So I'm on my document templates table, and I'm going to pull up a document template that has some subtables already pre-configured. So just for some of you who aren't familiar or very familiar with the configurator basically controls this settings field here. So everything you do inside the configurator gets reflected or updated inside of this. And Exact Farms Plus reads this, and this tells Exact Farms Plus where to get the data from in the subtable, how to format it, how to sort it, and how to control that subtable itself. You don't have to know all of this because it's really kind of visible in here, but just so when you see that field, it's a little scary, but it's really controlled by this subtable configurator. So I'm going to actually go in that first one because I want to kind of show you the differences now in the new subtable configurator. So one of the biggest changes is in our filtering criteria. This is what we call our query builder. So in the past, and I'm going to pull up an old one just so you can see the difference. In our old configurator, the filter looked like this, and it wasn't very flexible in terms of being able to handle some advanced filtering capabilities like ands and ors. The old configurator only handled ands. So you can say where related invoice is equal to the record ID and the status is equal to active. You can never say, well, and what about if the status is equal to active or pending? So now you can do that. So that's one of the biggest changes we've made with the configurator, as well as this is a lot more intuitive than our old configurator's filter was. So this works just like the filter in Quickbase reports. So when you want to add more objects into your where clause, you can just continue to do that. Plus you can group things and you can use any. So this is like our full query builder inside of our new EFP configurator. So I don't want to save any of that because I'm using that record. So I'm just going to come back in there. So that's the one major enhancement is our filtering criteria is now using our query builder. Some of the things that we've changed on the subtable fields are we've introduced 2 new types. So you'll see barcode and you'll also see numeric with decimal. This is AKA float. For those of you, we tried to make this a little bit more intuitive now because in the past, if you had a numeric field that had decimals, so not a currency field, a numeric field with decimals, and you had chosen it as just numeric, and when you generated the document, you would say, well, where are the decimals? They're not there anymore. So we would tell you, hey, you got to change it to float. So we changed the type now to be numeric with decimals so that it's a little bit more intuitive when you're trying to choose the proper field. Again, we set these ahead of time based on the field types in Quickbase. But if you do want to show decimals and it's a numeric field, you might have to come in here and change it to be numeric with float. So those are the 2 changes on types. And if we do end up choosing, actually, you know what? I'll do that when we actually demo the barcodes. So that's the changes here. And then on sorting and grouping, the changes here are we fixed a lot of bugs. So thanks, Dylan, for fixing them. Where a lot of times you would choose some of these values and the changes would never stay. So you would choose them, it would look like it would stay, it would save, you'd open it back up, and they went away. So we fixed those. I hope we fixed those, but for my testing, I think we did. And if obviously if we didn't fix those and you see some wonkiness coming in your experience, you just send us some information and we'll take care of that. But nothing else really changed here, right, Dylan? I don't think anything else changed here. Okay. So then the last tab. A lot of changed over here. We readdressed some of the reformatted things to clean it up a bit. But what we did was we introduced this new section here called cell margins and sizing. So really what this is in Word, we kind of mimicked what happens in Word. So if I have a table in Word and I go into table properties and I go into options, you see these cell margins and allow spacing and automatic resize to fit. We actually given you the ability to control all of that right in our configurator on the last tab right here. So those same values are going to be set there. So I just wanted to kind of give you a reference point. That's really what's happening in the subtable, and that's what we're updating. We default values into these, so you don't have to come back into your existing subtable configurations and change them, but what this is going to allow you to do is to control the spacing between all of the cells inside of that table when we generate it. And I'm going to go through some demos on that to show you. So that's really the highlights of the changes that we've made to the configurator, but what I want to do is I want to actually show you those changes inside of the documents and show you some output. So first we'll go right to barcodes. Let's go back to here. So I have this invoice and I'm going to generate some barcodes. So I'm going to click the Exact Fonts Plus button. You can see that it created a PDF. I'm going to blow this up a bit. So in the past, we were allowing you to do the QR codes and the barcodes at the master table level. But now we allow you to do it at the child or the subtable level. Now, the other enhancement is we allow you to control whether you want the text of a linear barcode to appear at the top, at the bottom, or not show it at all. So that, and this was referenced in our help site on the barcode, so you'll be able to see how you do that. So it's a little bit of a tweak to the formula that we use now for barcodes to say whether you want it to be on the top or the bottom, or if you don't want it to show. But this is now supported, so barcodes at subtable level are now supported. And I threw this in here too, just in case you're not familiar with repeats. So repeats really allow you to take this same data, and instead of just doing one record, another record, another record, another record, it lets you take the first record here, the second record here, the third record here, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it really just kind of disperses them among the columns. And this might be valuable for not only barcodes, but it might be valuable in other use cases. So it's a way to take your subtable data and string it along horizontally. And that's always been available in Exact Forms Plus, but sometimes some of these are almost hidden features because not a lot of people know about them. But when I take a look, so when I close this out, if I was to go to that template, so it was template 12, and it was our barcodes. Just to quickly show you how that was configured in the subtable. If I go to my subtable fields, you see I have a QR code, and I chose barcode, and for my record ID, normally that's a numeric value, but I changed it to barcode because I want to show a barcode instead of the record ID. So when I go to advanced settings, so this just tells you I want a type of barcode, but now, okay, what type do you want? You got to go over to the advanced settings, and now there's a new section down here where you can choose what type of barcode. So in this case, I wanted a QR code, and this controls the height and the width of that barcode. This is a QR code. So on linear barcodes, or barcodes with the true bars, if I come over to advanced settings on this one, I chose a code 3 of 9 barcode, and I want it to be 50 wide and 30 pixels high. But this is where I control whether I want the text to be not appear at all, appear on the top, or appear on the bottom. So that's in the subtable. We allow you to control these 3 things right in the subtable. It's very easy. On a master, you have to check the help site. It just shows you that formula, and you'll see how to do it there. But it's a simple change if you wanted to do that. So that's barcodes, and that's how you control them from the configurator. I'm just going to close out of this. Any questions on barcodes before I move on? All right, so I want to jump to Cellpadding now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this same invoice record, but I'm going to use this template. I have a template number 1. So I have a bunch of subtables on this, but they're really the same subtable repeated many times. And I'm going to blow this up a bit. It looks a little like Candyland. Todd doesn't like when I use all these colors, but I tried to use some of the Quickbase colors in this. So in this case, this is our normal default margins for a subtable. And really what that really means is it's controlling the distance between, let's say, the E and the top of the bar, as well as the E and to the left of the bar, and so on. So this is what it normally looks like. If you take the default of 0.03, this is what it looks like. But if we scroll down a bit and we go to the second page, excuse me, I set the margins to be 0.0. So you can see how it got tighter, right? So there's less space above, less space to the left, and less space to the bottom. So this is if you want to condense that spacing and you want more control over that spacing, you would change it in the configurator to do that. On the flip side, you can get a little bigger. Let's say you want to expand and you want a little bit more spacing because you're not so concerned about saving pages. You want it to be a little bit more visually pleasing. So you change the margin to be 0.10, you get this kind of a look. And then you can also go down, and here we got 0.2. So obviously as you increase the decimal points on this, and you go bigger, you're going to get a lot more spacing, right? So that's the cell spacing, and I'm going to actually go into the configurator to show you how to control that. So that's template number 1. So I'm going to go to my invoice template, and I think, yeah, it was this one, invoice parts. So I'm going to open up that one. So this one probably had the default spacing. It did. So all you would do is really just change this to make it bigger or smaller. So if I wanted to make that a 1, but maybe I want the left or the bottom margin not to be so high, so much of a gap, and maybe I want a little bit more space on the left. And now 1 is going to be a bigger, it's going to be a bigger gap there. And maybe I want my right to still be tight. But let's say I want spacing between cells. So what is that? So again, just play with some of this sometimes, but what that's going to do is it's going to give you space between the bars. So I'm going to make this a little bit more exaggerated. And then auto size, let's do that too. So when things start to grow, what it'll do is it'll try to fit things more contained inside of those cells. So that's what these settings are for. So let's make that a little bit bigger, just so it's pronounced. So let's save that. Let's close that. We'll go back, and we will generate invoice number 1, template number 1. And it should have been that first subtable, I believe, that I was messing with. Right. So see, I went a little crazy here, but just to kind of give you the idea that you have a lot more control over like this was the spacing between cells. So obviously having a 1 in there, or I think I put 3 in there, we got a lot of space in there. But you might just want a 0.05, or maybe 1.5, or maybe you want a 1. It just kind of gives you a little bit more space, and maybe it's a little bit more visually pleasing when you want to show the documents a certain way. But again, the other ones weren't impacted. It was just by that one subtable that grew like that. So cell spacing and the fit. Let me just go pull that back up again. I think, you know what, I'm gonna change the last one to be fit, because I think what we'll do is this last subtable, I think if I put the fit to size, I think it's going to help fix some of that. So let's close that. Let's go back to our template. I think the last one, I think that had margin 0.2. I think that was it. Let's go back to this one. We'll leave the margin at 0.2. Oh, it does fit. Fit was on that one. That's not the one, is it? Yeah, it is. So sometimes this, because we control things ourselves with the widths, it might not give you the exact placement. But again, you can play around with this. And once you do generate that document too, let me show you. I'm going to generate it in Word so you can see that. Change this to be a doc. I don't like that craziness too. It was a little too much. So let's not do 4. Let's do 1. Come back. Boom. Okay. I created a Word document this time. Instead of it opening in the browser like that, downloads it. So now I can open it. But what I wanted to show you is when I open up the table itself, and I go back to the table properties and I go to options, you can see all of these values are set in here based on how we have that set inside of the configurator. And there's a little bit of a conversion in there, so that's why it's not an exact science. There's some conversions we do, so you might have to just play it to get the settings that you want. But it's not going to be an exact equal match between our configurator and Word, because there's some funky calculations going on in there. But that's cell spacing and cell padding. So that's one of our latest enhancements, and I think we've gotten this request a lot from people, so I hope that's going to be of value to you folks. So the next thing I wanted to hit on was image hyperlinks. This is something that, again, Mark Schneer pushed us to do. And really with this one, if I change this to use my summary template, because what Mark wanted us to do was to show on an image in a summary report a link. So this is linked, and Mark has a link to a Gesco page, because his company, Gesco, is Canadian manufacturer or fabrication company. I forget exactly what it is, Mark, sorry. But he has when he presents these documents with Exact Forms Plus, these are like swatches of carpeting and so on. So he wanted that to call out to his Gesco page. This is a page that's open to everyone out there on the internet, so that they can see, when they're in the document, an actual image of that swatch. So what we did was we changed Exact Forms Plus to support that in subtables. So let's go back to the record itself. let's generate that PDF. Well, it's going to come out as Word. I'm going to do it in PDF. I'm going to do that again. And you guys can do this too. I have some little toggles here to when I want to switch between PDF and so on, and I use that as part of in my formula field. I can actually show you that. So when I take a look at this button here, I'm looking at the output. So I'm passing in a parameter, if you will, right into my doc format so that I don't have to have two buttons to do PDF, one for PDF, one for doc. I like to do it that way. Okay, so now I'm generating that PDF that has a summary report, and there'll be an image at the bottom. Scroll all the way down. See, here's that summary report with that little swatch. Let me open this up bigger, so you can see. And I had another image here too, but now it's a hyperlink. So when I click on it, it opens up right in the PDF. So that's a pretty cool feature now. So it's right inside the PDF. If you have those hyperlinks, you can have them clickable right inside the PDF. Like you can see I have other images that I didn't hyperlink to, like these over here. They're just images. There's no hyperlink with them, so that's fine. But in this case, Mark wanted those to be flexible enough where we can add a hyperlink, and it opens it up right there. So thank you for that request. And just it's a good example. You know, if there's something that's not working for you, or you don't think you think it'd be a nice enhancement, ask us. Just say, hey, do you think ExactForms Plus can do this? And if it makes sense and we can do it, we'll add that feature set into ExactForms Plus. So one other thing I wanted to show you is what's called rich text. The rich text fields. We had some issues with these new forms. So when we're in new forms, when we would highlight text and even drop images in there, prior versions of ExactForms Plus didn't support that as well, because the new forms do things a little bit differently than the old forms do, especially with colorization. It uses something called HSL codes. So we changed ExactForms Plus to support that. So right now, this is the latest version of ExactForms Plus in here, and it should support showing those colors in rich text field where they weren't in the past. So here you go. So we had background colors, we had foreground colors, and here's where the images show up too. So we had some issues with the images, but we no longer have those images, those image issues. So again, in these rich text fields, you can copy and paste, or you can insert an image and it'll live in here. The only thing I caution you on that is when you do that, I'm going to show you what that looks like. It might be a little scary. When I look at the source of this, these images are like in data URLs, they go on forever. So what that also means is there's a lot of characters in there. It takes up space. So when you do embed images in these rich text fields, just a caution on that it will consume a lot more space in this individual record. So with those images, just wanted to throw that out there. And one more thing that we have is we had a customer that was creating some contracts, and they wanted to convert numbers to ordinal numbers. So instead of it being 1, they wanted it to be first. But maybe they wanted it to be 1ST as first, or maybe they wanted it to be FIRST. So we added a new function into ExactForms Plus where we used to have number to words, where we can take a currency value and convert it to its text equivalent. We've done that too now with ordinals. So it's another function, and I'm going to open this up here. So this same demo shows you how to write out the words. So $1 is $1.00, but if we scroll down, we also have now ordinals. So 1 could be first, or it can be first like this. So you have all of these options now with ordinal numbers. So again, when you're building a lot of contracts, a lot of times you need to spell certain things out, where you need to you control it like this, and you don't want to have to create another field in Quickbase to convert that to be that. you do it right inside the template. So it's done right here with this type of a formula. So if I can actually show you that one, click here. I just want to take a look and see what template that was. It's template 14. So just to show you what it looks like inside the Word document template. So when I go down to the last page for our ordinal numbers, I'm going to blow this up a bit. So that's how you would format these values. So this is if it's actually in field 192. There's a value in field 192 that I want to show as an ordinal value. So it's basically saying, well, format as ordinal field 150 192, and show and use the simpler format, meaning the 1ST if it was first. This one will do the more complex side or the spelled out first. And one will do a lowercase and one will do an uppercase. If the lowercase, if L isn't there, it'll do uppercase, meaning capitalized. L will give us lowercase. I also had some other templates open from before just to show. I think it was the barcode one I wanted to show. This one. This is the barcode template, just so you could see how that looks. So this is on our help site, but when you want to, but I'm just going to show you here inside the template. So really this is saying I want to show a barcode. I want to show a code 3 of 9 barcode. I want to take the value from field 19 to represent that barcode, and I want the text to display on the top, and I want it to be 100 by 50. Here it's doing that same thing, but it's going to show it on the bottom. And if you don't have a -B or -T, it won't show the text at all. So that's how you handle the barcodes. And again, this is on a help site under the bar if you search for barcodes on a help site. So those are the changes for Exact Forms Plus. One of the other things, it's kind of not fully out there yet, but it's already implemented. Exact Forms Plus will handle this. We're still working through some things, but we've integrated with a file management or document management service called Egnyte. I'm not sure if anybody here has heard of Egnyte. It's very big in the construction industry. It's also big in the finance industry, but it's a very sophisticated file handling system. And Exact Forms Plus now can generate documents and save them in file attachment fields, in Amazon S3, in Dropbox, and now in a new service called Egnyte. And Egnyte is I'm just going to throw that in the chat. You want to throw that in the chat, Matt? It's EGNYTE. So actually, this is Egnyte. Just to quickly show you. So we're able to. It almost looks a little bit like Dropbox, but this is a pretty sophisticated version of that, where we can now generate documents and store them in folders throughout Egnyte. And we can generate these folder structures on the fly as well. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out, that Exact Forms Plus does support this. We're going through our final certification process with Egnyte to be able to roll this out to any customer that's using Egnyte and Quickbase. As well as Dylan's still working. Dylan's our developer on this, and he's working on being able to generate a templated version of these folder structures ahead of time. So I got a project template if we had all of these different types of subfoldering, that we click a button that would generate all the folders, so now they're available for you to dump files into. And our document portal, I know this is Exact Forms Plus call, but our document portal also supports Egnyte. So we can generate documents with Exact Forms Plus and store them in Egnyte. But what we can also do is you can use our doc portal, which I think we probably had that. That was one of the big things we talked about at Empower, if you did attend Empower. But really, that I'll show you a quick demo of that. Here's our doc portal talking to Egnyte. these files don't live in Quickbase. They live in Egnyte. So, and when you upload them, they'll go into Egnyte as well. So if I grabbed another file, let's just say I grabbed that invoice. So now that invoice is here, but if I go back to Egnyte, so it was invoice 3391. And I think it was in this. It was in this. There it is. So it just sends that file right up to Egnyte, just like that. So just something I wanted to throw out because Exact Forms Plus does support it. We'll be able to generate documents and land them in folders here, as well as our doc portal will support that. And we plan on having Excel docs, PDF merger, PDF stamper, and package builder that kind of controls all of those. All those add-ons will be able to save files into Egnyte. So I think that's all the topics I wanted to talk about today. So certainly open to questions or on what you've seen here or anything else related to the add-ons that we provide. How do we get the updated version? Good question. The updated version is there now, right, Manal? Manal, you here?
Yes, yes, it is there.
So, and actually, you know what? This is another thing. If in case you're not aware, we have a parameter called ver. So if you added parameter ver to your URL string, actually did that. When I go into the demo, whoops, not the demo. I'll go in here. Do this quick. If you ever want to know what version of Exact Forms Plus you're on and you're not using the progress bar button, if you open up your Exact Forms Plus and you put ver equals y, so ver equals y, set it back to n if you don't want to, if you want to generate the document. But what ver does, it won't generate a document. It doesn't cost a transaction. What it'll do is it'll show a screen that tells you what version you're on. So I'm going to click this. There you go. So your account is currently using 12.2. It's another kind of little hidden feature there. So
certainly the first time I'm seeing that.
I know, me too. I'm glad.
No.
If
I am
Manal's
glad I
seeing it for the
attended.
first time.
We have
Oh,
so
boy.
many of them.
Yeah. So right now, if you're running EFP config, the EFP configurator, and it's not showing the new features, you might have to clear your cache. And if you're not sure how to do that, we have that on a help site as well. But typically, all you got to do is if you hit F12, you can right click on your refresh and you can empty cache and hard reload. That should clear it out, unless Dylan, you think there's something else they should do to clear out cache?
No, that's exactly what I would do. But if
Okay.
that doesn't work, just reach out to us at support@JuiceTech.
Support.
You
There
can
might be
always
something else.
open the configurator in the incognito mode, the Chrome browser, and it will definitely load the latest version. That's the
Right.
best thing. Yes.
Right, and if you're not sure how to do that, you can when you're on the configurator, if you just right click it, there's an open and incognito window. So you should
Unless
be
you're
able
on new forms.
Unless you're on new forms, then it doesn't work. I know I'm always sorry, I'm always on old forms. I like them. Will there be a recording of this webinar? Yes. We post all of our recordings on our help site as well as on YouTube.
I think Colin had a question.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was going to say.
Yeah, actually, closely related to versioning. I'm looking through some of my rich text fields that utilize Exact Forms Plus. And on the first line, like my oldest one, it says Exact Forms Plus 7, and some of them are as recent as 10. But does that actually control anything with the version that we're using?
In your rich text field,
Like the URL, Keith.
oh, the
Yeah,
URL.
there's a text variable, the very first line, and it's got the
Yeah,
URL.
that's the, so you're like saying juiced / exact forms plus 10 is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm seeing as early as 7, in that field.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's not the version. We have multiple folders so that we can separate customers a little bit. So instead of everybody running out of the same folder, we have separate folders. So it goes from, let's say, 2 to 14 right now. So, but all of those all have version 12.2. And again, if you're not sure, just put that new parameter right inside the button called var equals y.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And then that'll tell you, and then turn it off, because when you want to generate a document, var equals y will not generate a document.
Gotcha.
Just by setting it back, and on new forms you got to refresh, you get that new change. Next time I click this button, it should generate the document that I'm looking for. But you're always, the progress bar option always shows the version right in here. So again, both of these, let's say user experiences are installed when you use our wizard. So we always install these two buttons, and you get to choose which one you want to use. It's personal preference. But this one might be hidden because you might have removed it. But if you click on that one, if you find it and you click on it, it'll show you the version.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right. So thank you very much for attending. We appreciate your time today. I hope that some of these changes are going to be worthwhile and you'll take advantage of them. Again, any recommendations you have, if there's some features that you're looking for it to do, please reach out, let us know. And thank you. We appreciate you coming today.